good afternoon, everyone. Everyone have lunch? Having food coma? Okay, I hope I'll wake you a little bit. Thank you so much for having me here today at LPC. I'm Joyce, one of the co-founders of Free Periods Hong Kong. We're a very small and very new NGO, so watch out for the little red flower if you go everywhere. This is one of the variations of our logo. And as you just heard, Free Periods is by far the only NGO in Hong Kong that focuses on period poverty. So speaking of period poverty, I'm sure you should have heard of it a little bit, but perhaps in a slightly different context. So people talk about it a lot in India and Nepal, where menstrual stigma is such a big thing, where menstruators might be confined to their homes when they're menstruating, or in Nepal even in a separate hut in the mountainous areas. Or you might have heard of it in the United States of America, where the menstrual movement is quite a big thing. Or you might have heard of it in Europe, for example in the UK, where a tampon tax has been a thing until pretty recently. Or in Scotland, where the government has decided to provide free products for everyone in need 2 years ago. So what about Hong Kong? Nobody talks about period poverty in Hong Kong, and whenever I tell people, hey, I work on period poverty here in Hong Kong, they question me, they doubt me. With some skepticism here, they're a bit skeptical. No, we don't have period poverty here in Hong Kong. There's no way people in Hong Kong can't afford to get a period pad. So I'll get to that in a bit. Yes, we do have period poverty here in Hong Kong, but it might be in a slightly different way. So before getting into period poverty, I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself. So why on earth did I get into this menstrual movement, or why did I get to work on period poverty? So I started 7 years ago. Now you know my age. I was a final year undergrad at Hong Kong U, and I did sociology. Amazing subject where I met amazing people, and I was inspired to work on menstruation for my final year project. It was a little bit tricky because I almost couldn't get any group mates to work with me. Nobody fancied the idea of working on menstruation. But I got one of my best friends, Jess, who worked with me. And the life-changing moment for me came at the very end of that academic year when I was almost graduating. I always thought, I'll just get an A and then I'll just get over the project. Do you do that? Yeah. And then there was a fair. There was a capstone fair thing where we have a booth on the busiest street on campus, and we had the chance to showcase our projects. And I was so excited. I put different menstrual products, tampons, pads, cups, cloth pads on the table, and I also had red colored liquid, which we put paint in it. And I just grabbed my male classmates, hey, show me how you do it. And these people, graduating people from by far the best university in Hong Kong. I'm not trying to stir debates, but Hong Kong U sociology students, they know nothing about period pads because they were never educated about it. All they knew was, the anatomy, the biology, 28 days. They knew nothing about the products and the lives of people living with menstruation. So very clumsily, they just opened up this pack, and then they peeled it off from the packaging, and then they felt, there's a sticky side. And then they asked, hey Joyce, where do you stick it? On your body or not? Quite a funny encounter, but what changed my life was something after that. So remember I said I had the red liquid? They poured it on their pad, and they felt it with their hands. And they were like, now I know how bad it feels. This thing is so stuffy, and I just can't imagine carrying this around for 4 hours, especially on a summer day in Hong Kong. You know how humid it is. And at that moment, I was in awe because as a menstruator, I never thought someone who do not menstruate and will not menstruate would actually understand what I feel. I didn't expect my father to understand. I didn't expect my male friends to understand, but it turns out that they do. If we talk to them, if we become open about the experience. And that was the moment I wanted to work on menstruation, And as you heard, I started menstruation plus action, kind of cliche, I'm sorry. But yeah, and then I continued working on it, and I met friends, I met amazing individuals who co-founded Free Periods Hong Kong with me. So in Europe. And now back to period poverty. Does anyone know how much? Probably you might not be using pads, you might be using other products, or you might not be menstruating at all, but does anyone know how much this thing costs? A single daily pad here in Hong Kong. Just show me your fingers, if you know. Okay, I see 2, 10, 5. Okay, such a range. Okay, one daily pad is $2. Thank you so much. And then we have people who need longer pads, night pads, because they have heavier flows, and so it can be up to $3, $4, $5 per pad. And let's do the math together, because I'm very bad at math, but 5 pads per day, because we need to change it every 3 to 4 hours, and 5 pads per day plus 5 days per period, so 25 pads per period. And let's take $3 to $4 per pad, so it's up to $75 to $100 only on menstrual pad per person per period. And I can assure you, although the amount sounds small, it's already the price of a 5 to 8 kilogram pack of rice here in Hong Kong. So you can imagine how that is for underprivileged families and people. But the math doesn't end here, because as menstruators, we have other needs. I need painkillers, I need heat pads, I need hot water bags, and I need to see the doctor for my period sometimes. Chinese doctors, for example. And period poverty is clearly not just a lack of products, but other resources related to menstruation. And the math still doesn't end there, because currently I'm the only menstruating person in my family, but for a lot of other families, there are more. So imagine, for example, a mother with her 2 to 3 teenage daughters. You can count the math. So you might wonder, how bad can that be for people? Just $100 a month? And that's why at Free Periods we did a small-scale survey at 2019. We had a striking number of 27% of respondents saying that we actually need to cut expenses on menstrual products for other expenses. So can you imagine, around 30% of people responding to our survey say that I need to use fewer pads and I need to use lower quality pads because I need to feed myself, I need to buy books for education, I need to pay for my housing. And if you wonder, how do people use fewer pads? I have an even more striking number here for you. We have 42% of respondents saying that they will actually use a pad until it's fully soaked or beyond 4 hours so that they can save up by using fewer pads. And I'm sure those of you who menstruate can already imagine how uncomfortable, how unhygienic that is, because these people are basically using their pads until it's not functional, not protecting them anyway, let alone the health risk of infection. So in other figures, I have a case here for you. It's a case I heard from an event participant who know. So a high school teacher realizes that one of her students is actually not mobile during several days during the month, and they're also having blood stains quite a lot. So the teacher was worried because, okay, it's either a health problem of the flow or it's a problem with the product. But the teacher later found that, okay, it's a problem with the product because the student is from a single parent family. They live with the father, the male parent. And apparently the male parent, just like my male classmates, never learned anything about period products. I'm not asking you to guess because you'll never guess, but do we have coffee lovers here? Anyone love coffee? Yeah. Does anyone like hand-drip coffee?
Yeah.
You do? The father actually got coffee filter papers for his child to handle the period, which is ridiculous because you can imagine coffee filter was supposed to let things through, but a pad, we need something to absorb the blood. So the teacher was kind enough to bring the entire class to the supermarket, telling the students that, okay, this is what you need for periods, go home and tell your parents. So the teacher thought, okay, problem solved, probably, things all right. But no, the problem came back. Blood stain still here, mobility still low, or sometimes the student was even scared to speak in class. And it turns out that the parent was only buying panty liners and nothing else. We don't know the reason. We don't know if it's because panty liners are cheaper, or because it's easier to get. No, I guess not. Or because it's the thinnest. Maybe they thought it's the most comfortable product you can get out there. But this case alone shows that menstruation and period poverty is a very interesting topic, intertwining with so many different topics. Clearly, it's a lack of economic resources problem. It's very economic. If you don't have money, you don't have products. But it's also about the lack of knowledge. So imagine if the father was educated at school about period products, about the lives of menstruators, about the needs of menstruators. That wouldn't have happened. Coffee, food, or papers wouldn't have happened. But it's also not just about the lack of knowledge. It's also about a lack of safe space and environment and culture that's period positive, that allows us to have discussion like this today. So imagine if our culture was more period positive, the student might have just been vocal about their needs to the parents and to the teachers instead of just hiding it. So if we had a more period positive, a menstrual positive culture, our entire society would have changed. Perhaps educators would know we cannot just separate the boys and the girls when you have sex education and menstrual education, like what I experienced. It's not true that only those who menstruate need to learn about menstruation. And perhaps if we had a more period positive culture, those who run schools, those who run shopping malls, those who run airports would know that, yeah, we do have people who menstruate visiting our premises. We might need to provide them with products because they're an emergency. We don't predict when the blood's going to come. And perhaps our entire culture changes, then we also have more period positive schooling, work culture, family culture. And this is what I'm going to invite you to do today. We do have period poverty here in Hong Kong, but how do we change it? You might not be educators yet. You might not run a shopping mall. You might not design toilets, so you might not be able to change the toilets so that they can accommodate the needs of people using different period products. What can you do? What can we do? I just want to invite you to join us at the conversation. So once we normalize talking about period, learning about period, being vocal about our needs and worries and concerns, I'm sure we'll all be contributing to changing the culture bit by bit. And from that, I really envision a world where we have, like Scotland, free products provided, a world where washrooms will accommodate the needs of different people using different products, just like having, if space allowed, a sink in the cubicle for tampon users and cup users, and a world where education is actually inclusive for people of all genders. And this is the end of my sharing today. Thank you so much.